Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover and Xiaojun with David and Lily. And today we're going to talk about the law of the People's Republic of China on the protection of rights and interests of the aged. This is law being amended, so we might include some new articles in this law. So basically,
it sounds too complicated for me. I'm leaving. You two.
Well, there are quite a few points which people talk about a lot these days, because the background, obviously, China is becoming more
aging population.
Aging,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's increasing dramatically. In 1999, we say, according to the official figures, in 1999, when the amount of people older than 60 years old is more than 10%, that means this is an aging society.
Yes.
And according to that standard, in 1999, China is an aging country. And now we have about 167 million people over 60 years old.
And that's just going to get worse and worse, partly because of the one-child policy, which they're talking about revising. But yeah, the numbers don't look good when you reach the year 2040, 2050. You've got a lot of older people and the younger people, and a lot of people sort of your age now in the middle, struggling to support.
We will be the ones being protected in those years.
Yeah, you'll be one of the old people. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and also this would become we cannot use the word burden. Maybe a bigger responsibility for the whole society. You know, the younger ones supporting the old ones, and the little ones are still too little to do anything.
Obviously, the government is realizing that fact, and they're trying their what they can to try to build up a better system for the aging population of the country. What is noticeable in this new law, so the amendments of this new law, is basically there are saying the children should go back to see their parents more. And it would be possibly stated in this law. It says, children, go back to visit your parents maybe once or twice, maybe often.
That's good to be stated in the law.
But when we talk about law, often is a tricky word. Well, how often is often?
This is interesting to me sociologically, because we always say that China had a great respect for elders, for the older people. And in the old days, of course, it went without saying, when your parents got older, they're living with you, you take care of them in their old age. But something happened in the 1990s, and even 1980s and 1990s, which, Lily, you know about, because you were one of the first ones to actually go overseas to study for a while, is that these young people started going overseas. And some of them stayed there, and they built, had their families there. Some of them came back, and some of them leave their hometown. So now you started getting this situation where more and more parents were there without their young, their children to take care of them. I remember that what year was it in the Spring Festival? They had this song that was go back
to see your parents.
Often go back and see your parents, And a lot of people pointed out at this, everyone was very touched by that. Oh yes, go home and see mom and dad, even if just give them a massage or talk to them, But people were talking about, well, the reason that song touches people is that kids aren't doing it enough. That's the reason,
That's true. I mean, to me, that song is melodic.
So you feel a little bit guilty every time you hear the
What
song?
I'm thinking is about the sound. That sound, to me, its melody is just okay, but what's touching, I guess, is about the words, the message it's giving out to people.
So you have this problem now, and it's obviously something that the law is going to have to take care of more and more, because this old social contract wasn't based on law. It was just based upon Chinese custom. Is just breaking down, and what are you going to do with all of these people? So it's a real problem. It's not anyone's fault.
It's
not because kids are irresponsible now or something. It's just the social system has changed so much.
When the children are all away and they're only the old couple living at home, then we have a special name for these old people. They're known as the empty nest elderly.
Right.
Oh,
empty nesters.
Sounds so horrible. Empty nest.
The mother without the mother hen with.
Right. I mean, that's because things are changing right now. Because traditionally in China, we like big families,
Right.
children living with their parents. But nowadays, the young children, they would prefer to live by their own, and many of them are not even living in the same city
Right.
with their parents, and not even in the same country, probably. So that really has created this problem, because this batch of elder senior citizens are now being this empty nest.
Nester, yes, yes.
And as I mentioned, the total population of people over 60 years old is 167, and half of them are the empty nest elderly.
Yeah, these empty nesters, it's a big problem because they don't have any companionship, they don't have a support network, and you begin to get these tragic things that happen in the U.S. all the time, which is an elderly person dies and it may be weeks before anyone knows.
No one knows.
Because they don't have any friends, and the kids are, not in the town. So I mean, it's a problem that they're going to have to start,
It's like my grandmother, she's already over 90 years old, and she has been living by herself for like several decades alone. And the thing is, she always says, you can come visit me, but she says it's not really about I want you to buy me anything or do anything for me. It's just that I need an audience to hear me out. I just want to talk. I'm here all by myself all day long. I just wanted to talk and have someone to listen to me. It doesn't matter.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because there is a very famous story. It's about the lawsuit, and the mother was filing a lawsuit against her 6 children.
Wow, she had 6 children.
And when she saw those children coming to court, she said, I finally saw my own children. And that was it.
That's terrible.
So she did all this just to see her children.
Yeah,
right?
she wanted to see her children, and they were either too busy or they were working in other places. They couldn't manage to come back to see their own mother. And there are quite a few reasons for the empty nest elderly being there. First, the children working in a different place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second, the children do not live together with their parents. Thirdly, maybe the parents, well, not the parents, the old people, they don't have any children. And these basically are the major reasons. And obviously, there are quite some, there are some difficulties these elderly people are facing. First, they have low income, they don't live a quality life. And second, more importantly, the sense of loneliness.
Yeah.
In China, traditionally, old people would talk about this 养儿防老, which means you raise your children, especially if you raise a son, then he will take care of you when you get old. But now I'm thinking, since there are so many changes in the society, when I get old, I wouldn't expect my children to take care of me properly. I mean, we would learn to take care of ourselves when we get old. That's why there are this commercial insurance about this endowment pensions things, and also you have these elderly house for the elderly that are now coming out in China, and is now quite welcomed.
Well, that's a topic that we should talk about. Is something that's very common in the West is nursing homes, old age homes, and you're saying China is now beginning to have those, but a lot of Chinese are against them, right?
That's right.
Traditionally, yes.
This is not filial piety. You're not taking care of your.
Because an old people would think, if my children want to send me to a nursing home, that means they want to dump me.
Yeah.
And it's quite embarrassing if I tell my friends that my children want to send me to a nursing home.
But in some cases, the parents, they want to go to those nursery homes. The children don't want them to go.
It will make them look bad, right?
Exactly. Well, I can give my mother as an example. My mother sometimes watches the show. Hi, Mom. I'm going to talk about you now. In America, she's got this thing. I think it's called an assisted living home. But what it is elderly people who are still mobile, who can still walk, who don't have any serious health problems, can move into this place, and it's all people of their same age. And the advantage is they can live independently, they have their own room, they can have their own things there, they can cook if they want, they can entertain guests, but if they're feeling sick or something, there's a cafeteria for them. If something goes wrong, there's a nurse or a doctor on duty 24 hours a day. And so the children can relax, the parents are well taken care of, and it solves the loneliness problem. Because they have,
there are so many of them.
So many, too many. I mean, there's just everywhere you go, there are friends,
They can have a little society, and they can make friends or even make enemies, just have something to do, right?
And they have a post office, they have a bank. So if you don't want to, you don't even have to leave the building if you want. Or if you want to,
that's
you can
great.
drive a car, you can do whatever you want.
So it's a perfect combination
Perfect
of
combination.
private life and also a community life.
Yeah, so,
And
so
I-
she has her own apartment. If her children wants to visit her,
That's right.
you can stay with her, right?
That's right. I stayed with her last time I was there.
Oh.
Yeah. So it solves this problem you're talking about, which is the kind of loneliness. That's
true.
not a problem there.
Well, that is also happening in some cities, and also what I heard about in the South. Actually, there are some new developments. We'll talk about that when we come back from a short break. You're watching Crossover on CCTV News.
等会儿。
Welcome back to Crossover. We've been talking about the assisted living for the old people in America. And in the South, what I hear about is, because, in some places, the environment is beautiful, and where we can also find some villas, nice buildings. And what they do is they might rent out the whole building and rent it out again to old people from the north, because it's extremely cold in the wintertime.
Yes.
It's like you pay 1,500 for 1 month. It could be several couples, old people, living in that villa. And you'll be taken care of, food and anything, and you have companions, right? And you don't have to deal with the coldness in the north.
Yeah.
That sounds
That
very
sounds good.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, traditional. My other grandmother, I mean, the 90-year-old I was talking about was the mother of my father, and then the mother of my mother. She lives with her sisters, actually, with her siblings in a town in Zhejiang province, and she refuses to move back to Shanghai, where actually her children are living in. So it would be unfair if you require your children to give up your family, give up your
Right.
job, and moving here
That's
with
right,
me.
yeah.
But it is now a problem because she doesn't want to leave that place. And there's no children taking care of her. And I visited her a few months ago, and then she told me she decided actually to apply for a nursing home, and she has checked it out. She said it's 24-hour, you have
Right.
24-hour nursing care, and as long as you want something, you can push a button,
Right.
and then you can call people to you. And it would be cost more if you want to have a room of your own. But if you don't care to share a room with another people, then it would be only like several hundred yuan a month. Even if you have a room of your own, it's like 1,000. Yeah, and it's 1,600 something per month, and that also includes 2 meals a day. So that's good enough, and it's located in the downtown area, in a commercial center. So if you want to go to post office, you want to go to supermarket, it's all very convenient. You can go anywhere.
And once again, it's shared living, and there is a community.
Yeah, so I think she's having this evolution of her, the traditional mindset. She's accepting the fact that you have to deal with your aging problem on your own. Probably,
Yeah, well,
it's sad, but it's good.
But it's good in a way. I mean, not only society is changing, but people are living longer. And I think in China, my impression is China elderly people really live very healthy lifestyles. I mean, they tend to exercise more than in the U.S. That they tend to have a lot of hobbies. They tend to not do what a lot of Westerners do, spend all their day in front of the TV set.
And because they believe in the Chinese traditional medicines,
Right.
they have a healthy diet.
They have a healthy diet, and so they're living longer. They have a lot of interests, and so they need a place. But they're still, they're getting older, and they're going to have some health problems, and they need a place where they can have this active lifestyle, but still have a support network in case something goes wrong.
But having said that, I mean, it's to many Chinese old people is no replacement living in this nursery
It is,
homes
I
or
agree,
assisted
yes.
living places. It's no replacement of spending time together with the children, and I guess that
course.
is one of the most important reasons why they try to include spending time or visiting your parents often.
Yes, that's true.
But the thing is, it's also a controversial thing. And people complain about the possibility of an article like that being included in this amendment, saying, well, it is good in the first place, but we are just busy. What can we do? We have a job to do, and our bosses wouldn't let us go. Or maybe when you see often visit your parents, and how often is often, and at the same time, the parents would put themselves in the position of their children. They would say, "Yeah, you're busy. Okay, yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do. We're just fine." They're very kind. So when this is put into law as an article. How are you going to enforce it?
Yes.
If you cannot enforce it, then what is the point of have an article like that?
That's true. I think it's hard to put things of this kind into the law. I mean, you can talk to people, you can, just sort of move them, or just, once it's put into law, it means you have to enforce it. How can you do that?
That's right, and it's sad that I suppose some people are looking at it and thinking it's sad that we have to put into law something that should be common sense, that everyone should do anyway. So now we have to make it a law.
It's more about morality.
Yeah, it's about
law enforcement.
That's right. That's right.
Or it's like you have to call your parents once a.
Otherwise, I'm breaking the law.
Otherwise, I'm breaking the phone.
I think the main thing is, there's a lot more middle class. People have money, more than they used to in China. So there are more options, and I think that more options is a good thing, because some elderly people won't like this, and some will actually prefer it, as you said. The kids may say, "Oh, Mom, why don't you come and live with us?" And she says, "No." She may find it actually, not as fun as having her own life. So I think it's important to have options. But the law should just take care of those cases where people fall through the cracks. Someone is seriously neglected and their health is, suffering, and they need someone there that only a relative or a sibling or a child could. Then that's where the law can step in. But
I guess that is also part of the new development, because in the traditional society in China, children usually live together with the parents, and you've heard about the play 4 generations under one roof.
Yes.
And that's something it seems every family was pursuing at the time.
Yes.
That was like a symbol of a happy family, of a happy life, of people of different generations living together.
Yes. The elderly people would be very proud to tell others if things like my grandchildren is living with me, my great-grandchildren is living with me. They'll be so proud. And I'm thinking about nursing home. I think this is a growing industry, actually, because I have a friend who actually is thinking about investing in a 5-star nursing house.
Oh, they have stars now,
because
right?
he actually
1-star, 5-star.
Yeah, he went to, I don't remember whether it's South Korea or Japan, but he visited one of those expensive luxury nursing houses for the aged, and he got the idea from there, and he thinks there would be a market for this kind of thing in Beijing, in big cities at least.
Definitely.
And he said, you can live in a room that looks like a 5-star hotel room, and they would provide you with food. You can pick from a menu every day. What do I want? And they will send you food. And there are nurses, there are servants, and also it's very hard to get enrolled. You have to apply for it years before you can have a replacement. Mainly because if someone lives in there passed away, then there would be a vacant room. Then you can move in.
I mean,
I want to go there now. What do I sign?
You're too young for that.
Yeah, you have to check your bank account first.
Oh no, I'm older than I look. But anyway, go ahead.
There are also some problems with the nursing homes. We'll talk about that when we come back. A short break. You're watching Crossover on CCTV News. And welcome back to Crossover. We've been talking about this aging problem in China, how nursing homes can be a solution out. But the problem is there are 2 types of nursing homes. One supported by the government, and one set up by individuals, the private nursing homes. And what happens is, in many cases, all these government or official government-run nursing homes, they tend to be cheaper, but there might be a limited number of places available to the society. Well, the private ones, there could be abundant places.
Everything is good, but expensive.
Everything is good, could be expensive. So it's a problem to many. For these retired people, they might not be that rich.
Right.
And it's not everyone is like you can afford the first class 5-star nursing home in the future, but. That is a problem. It's just like the kindergartens. So we're facing the same situation.
I learned that in Japan they have this nursing for the aged, this nursing insurance system.
Insurance.
For the aged and for the needed. Those and that I think would help to solve the problem, because when you get old and you need to be taken care of, and then you have this insurance to cover that fee and thing, at least cover part of it. That'd be good. I think maybe on municipal level or on provincial level, maybe we can learn something from that.
Well, as you get an aging population, the government's just going to have to step in and put a little more into that sector, because that becomes a problem. And so, insurance, any kind of social insurance, social security kind of things.
Instead of stating that children should go back to see your parents more often, we should say all these nursing homes should take care of all your customers, your clients.
Well,
yes.
Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. These people are customers. That's right, and it's a service that you provide. Right. Yeah, but I will say this. This is getting off the subject of that. Okay, old people, you're at the final stage of your life. Now what do we do with you? Do we put you in a nursing home, or what do we do with you? I think one good thing about China that's actually a little bit better than the U.S. overall is that, partly because China still has some more tradition of filial piety and respect for elders, grandparents take a great role in raising their children here.
That's true.
Yes.
And very often when you go to these grade schools, and it's 4 o'clock and the kids are getting out of school, the people standing there waiting for the kids have an awful lot of gray hair.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing, because we tell a joke in the U.S. that why do grandparents and grandkids get along so well? Because they have a common enemy.
That's a good one.
But I think there is something to that. There's something that grandparents can give to the grandkids. It's different than parenting. It's different than parenting. They love them and their family, but they're not the parent. And so the grandparents will talk to their kids, to the grandkids, in different ways.
Yes.
Give them a different kind of care and love, and a lot of wisdom that the parents may not lack or not have the time to give them.
There is the closeness between the grandparents and grandchildren. 隔代亲.
Oh, yeah. That skip generation, the relationship between is close. It's closer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And normally the parents would be the stiff faces in front of their own children, but once they're together with the grandchildren, the faces are full of smiles, and it's totally different.
Yeah. Of course, the grandkids spoil their kids a lot more.
Yes, they do.
It's ice cream every day. That's why you have so many fat kids. You have the grandkids raising them.
That is also a reminder of a different way of dealing with the aging society. Like in Japan, they're encouraging the retired people to take maybe a different job. That means because when they retire, when they're over 60, but in these modern society, people over 60, they're still healthy,
working.
they're still capable of doing many things.
They can still contribute. That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what China is good at. They're saying this is a natural thing. You're still active, and we need you, and come in, and contribute.
That's right.
And there's not a feeling like, we use the word nuclear family, the husband and the wife and the kids, and that's it. The extended family, I think, is, especially in these economic hard times, you just don't have the money to spend for chauffeurs and nannies and stuff like that. If the grandparents can maybe not live with them, but if they can be a presence in the house and you visit them a lot and let the kids stay with the grandparents, it's a great thing for the family, I think.
And it's not only about within the family when you are able to do that, because there is a special arrangement in many organizations. Say you might be seen as a retired one, but when you are done with all the prodigals, you are still coming back to the office to work as a retired and former employee.
Right.
Yeah. But once they have something to do, people won't get that sense of loneliness.
And they live longer and healthier. With something to do, they actually, it improves their health situation.
Yes. My father retired 2 years ago, but now he's still trying to keep up with some of the part-time jobs and he finished writing his first book at the end of this year. So that's something he had been longing to do for many, many years. But when you're working full-time, it's very hard to find time to do this and that. And now after retirement, he's really finding things to do and things he loves to do. And I think it's good. He's keeping himself busy.
Yeah.
So it's like two sides of the same thing, the same coin. Basically, we should encourage children to go back to visit their parents more often, to spend time with their parents, to act as an audience, someone who listens to the stories. Maybe the stories are the stories that you've heard about a lot of times. But again, you are the children. You are supposed to be there listening to those old
It's like
stories.
my grandma. My grandma said, you can sit there and take a nap, and I'll pretend. Because her eyesight isn't that good. He said, I cannot tell if you're sleeping or not. You just sit there and I'll talk.
You're there anyway. You're taking your break. But at the same time, we should encourage the old people when they can to do what they can, either traveling or taking a new hobby. Because it is
to look for fun things to do on their own, and also do it with people of their age. That's much better, because that's in Beijing, in many cities in China, in Beijing especially, during the evenings you can see old people dancing on the streets. And although someone complain it's a bit noisy, I think it's a great thing to see these old people. They're bonding with each other. They're so happy, and dancing is also very good for their health. It's a great thing to do.
And they are having a life.
Yes, that's right. They're having a life.
It's always impressive, because when I was in Europe traveling, I saw a group of old people. The whole group was a group of old people from Japan. They're mostly women. They were there, painting. But at the same time, they were touring around the world. So it's
a group of elderly people. Oh, that's good. That's really good.
And of course, there's a new thing in the works here, which is this elderly population as they grow older. There's the internet. So they're actually able to do things. You can keep contact. And who knows what it'll be 20 years from now. You might be able to go into the computer and come out on the other side, for all I know. But you're able to keep in track of the kids, send email, do things online.
It'll always be a sad thing to see, a parent meeting their children in the courtroom. Because you are not coming back to see me that often, according to law.
That's quite sad, actually.
Yeah, so what would you do when you retire then? What is your plan? Have you thought about that?
If my friend ever do invest in a 5-star nursing home, I'll give you a discount.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you can book your place now.
I want to book my place now.
Right. So have you any thoughts about it?
Well, you mean what would I do in my old age?
Have you thought about
Traveling, painting? Oh, you do your jazz thing.
Band.
Yeah, see, for someone like me, I say retire? There's no such thing. I mean, you're always going to be doing your thing. I mean, in a way, the job, you can not have a steady job, but you're not going to have there's the vocation, there's an avocation, what you love. And so I can't imagine retiring and just staying home and relaxing. You're always going to be doing something. As long
it
as
is easy said than done, though. I mean, when we say relax, it's always good, but when you relax too long, then you get...